Hi guys, well, this is me, Misty. Welcome back to my channel. The channel's name is Speculative Magpie, and today we're going to do a little something different. I haven't finished reading any of the books for any of the challenges yet, and I didn't want to let a bunch of time go by without doing a video. So I'm going to do a book tag. The book tag I decided is like mid-year freakout, but I know it's a little bit past mid-year, so it's kind of, we'll just do a what I've read so far freakout kind of thing. And I really like the prompts and they seem fun. And so yeah, I know from what I've posted so far that a lot of this has seemed kind of like I only read horror. And while I love horror, that's not all what I read. And I think you'll really figure that out as we go through the prompts for this book tag. Now there's a lot of prompts. Some of them are doubled up though, okay? So we're going to talk about the books together at the same time. And YouTube is making me quasi-organized because I had to bring out the notebook again. Not really, but I like to pretend. So, best book you have read so far in the year 2020. That's the first prompt. And best sequel that you've read so far in 2020. Now, it's kind of the same book. Now, this book, from what I've seen, this series doesn't get a lot of love. I fucking adore this series so much. I read the first book and just thought it was fantastic, and then I read the second book, and which is what I'm going to use for the first two prompts, the best book and then the best sequel. And what I'm talking about is Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. I am in love with the Gentleman Bastard series. I think this series is fantastic. It's never what I expect. It is considered fantasy, but there's really not a lot of magic going on in here. Magic in here is almost like an afterthought. This is more like, I don't know, it's sort of like a Ocean's 11 kind of thing with just a whole bunch of other stuff thrown in, like mob stories. And this one is a pirate story that just blew me away. This book started off as like a casino heist, and it ended up on pirate ships with pirate battles. And I just really love this series so much. A lot of people don't like it because of the flashbacks, but I think the flashbacks just add to the story. In the first book, which was The Lies of Locke Lamora, there were a lot of flashbacks, and the flashbacks went like way back in the past, which didn't bother me at all because by that time I was already hooked. This one, the flashbacks don't go back that far. So yeah, I just love this series so much. I have the third book, Republic of Thieves, on my to be read cart. I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of nervous of reading it because this is when one of the characters shows up that has been talked about in the previous two books, and I don't know if I want to meet her or not. I want to like her, but I'm having a feeling I'm not going to. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, best book and best sequel so far, for me at least, has been Red Seas Under Red Skies. I just love this series so much. Newest release you haven't read yet but want to. Okay. Peace Talks by Jim Butcher. I love the Harry Dresden series. My whole family loves the Harry Dresden series. My husband right now is reading Peace Talks. My son, after my husband gets done, will be reading Peace Talks, and then it'll be my turn. I'm going to read it last because, you know, with the way my depression and my brain and everything works, I can't guarantee I'll read it all that quickly. And both my husband and my eldest son really want to read that book. So that's on the back burner for me. I have it and I'll get to it soon, and I'm really excited to read it. Just love Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden has always been sort of like a comfort series for me. So that's the one I'm really looking forward to reading, is Peace Talks. The most anticipated release for the second half of 2020. That's going to be Battleground by Jim Butcher, which is the next book in the Harry Dresden files. We're going to get 2 this year. And from what I can tell by the title, I'm assuming the Peace Talks didn't go very well. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes. I'm really looking forward to it. It's supposed to be out sometime before the first of the year. So I'm really looking forward to it. And oh my gosh, I just know Jim Butcher's gonna ramp us up and gonna put Harry through the ringer. Biggest disappointment. I'm so sorry. Biggest disappointment for me would be 12 Nights at Rotherhouse. And it really has nothing to do with the book. It has to do with the issues that I brought to the book that didn't let me enjoy the book. If you want to hear me talk about that a little bit more, I do have a review of this book up on my YouTube channel. I'm just really disappointed in myself that I didn't love this book, because I really wanted to. So, biggest surprise. All right. Full disclosure, I'm not a real big, huge YA reader. I really don't gravitate towards that. Not that there's anything wrong with YA. I just think that there's so many other books out there that I can read. And this year I learned that those thoughts can be wrong. And I have discovered some other really good YA authors, but the one that surprised me the most was Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book was recommended to me by a friend. I got a Facebook message. It's like, hey, you like creepy stuff, you should read the Hazelwood. And my friend has never really recommended me books before. And I was like, okay. So I went and I grabbed the book. And I really enjoyed this book. This book had some great, creepy, atmospheric moments that really freaked me out a little bit. I got involved in the story. I got involved with the characters. It made me feel stuff. I got angry. I yelled a bit. I cussed out one of the characters in here. I cussed out more than one of the characters in here. I just really enjoyed this book and was surprised at how good it was and how much I liked it and how really creepy it was. And while it's not necessarily horror, I would classify it as dark fantasy. I'd put it right up there with anybody else you have out there. Ramsey Campbell, that kind of thing. This was really good. Recommend it to check it out. There's not gross out gore or anything in here, but there were definitely some times where I was like, oh shit, really? And it's for young adults? Wow, okay. So yeah, this one was a big surprise. And favorite new author is going to be her. I just really, really enjoyed the way she wrote, and I enjoyed the way her characters were. Her characters were human. I mean, they made mistakes. There were times where they were unlikable, where you could see why they were unlikable. They were flawed, hurt, and then when stuff happened, you were like, no, don't do that, stop. But they did it anyway, and they had to deal with their consequences, and they dealt with their consequences, which is what I thought was very good. She writes people that felt real to me. And I like that. And I thought it was a good book. And I'm really happy I read it. Newest fictional crush. Alright, I got a lot of book boyfriends. It's just the way it is. Newest one would have to be Hammersmith from The Yard. This is a series. It deals with the murder squad, which was the people that was put together in Scotland Yard to hunt down Jack the Ripper. And of course they failed. And Hammersmith in this book is a constable that works with one of the inspectors, part of the murder squad. He's just such a stand-up guy. He's just sympathetic, empathic, smart, driven, and he has a following of like women that just fall over it, and he's completely oblivious to them. They want his pantaloons, and he's just like oblivious, and he's just such a good man. And the inspector he works for is such a good man, but I just kind of have a thing for Hammersmith. He's just oblivious, and that's kind of fun for me. So yeah, my newest book boyfriend is Hammersmith, and if you read these series, it's okay, I'll share them with you. If you don't like Inspector Day, but Day's pretty cool too, but Hammersmith is the one for me. Newest favorite fictional characters. I'm gonna have to go back to, what did I do with them? Where's the book? I'm gonna have to go with Locke and Jean. They are just the ultimate in best friends. They fight, they argue, they call each other assholes, they just do everything. But they are so close. I mean, they're almost closer than brothers. Is that even possible? I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be Locke and Jean. Now let's see. Book that made me cry. I'm gonna break it up and not say Red Seas Under Red Skies. I'm gonna do another book that made me cry. The Bone Garden by Tess Gerritsen. This is a thriller. It takes place in two different timelines. It takes place in our timeline, and it takes place back in the early 19th century. I mean the late 19th century, early 20th century. And it's a medical thriller. Some of the procedures described in this book are absolutely horrifying. What they put the women through, what they put the student doctors through, it's just horrible. And then they're having to hunt down a serial killer amid all of this, like trying to figure out why these women in these maternity wards are dying because of sanitary conditions. It's horrible. And then you have the main character that he's accused of being a serial killer, and he didn't do it, and he's having to prove his innocence. And it's just heartbreaking, bittersweet. You hurt for everybody in here, and I literally sobbed when I was reading this at work earlier this year. So yeah, that was the Bone Garden, and I highly recommend it. She's also the author that writes Roselli and Isles. I haven't read those books, but I enjoyed the TV series. This was just a really good book, and like I said, it was bittersweet, and I cried at the ending of this. It was just heartbreaking. Book that made me happy. All right. We are going to go with The Meet Cute Club by Jack Harbaugh. This is a romance novel. It's an LGBTQ romance novel. This is like a Hallmark movie in book form. It is so sweet. It's funny. And you know, like a Hallmark movie, there's a misunderstanding, and I don't think it's a spoiler if I say they work it out. But this book just made me smile. I just really love this book. It was so cute, and it took me like 3 days to read because, again, I'm reading at work in between patients. But it was just such a sweet story. There's nothing, you know, groundbreaking in here. There was a little bit of controversy with this book because people picked up this book expecting LGBTQ, and one of the first scenes in here was a sex scene between a man and a woman, and that threw them off. But I knew what the author was going for, so I kept reading a little bit. And so once you get past that and you realize what the author was doing, what he was trying to set up, it's really good. The sex scene in the beginning wasn't that graphic, and there are some love scenes between the two leading men that were, you know, nice. But yeah, this was a really good, feel-good book, and I hope he writes more like this, because I could really use some Hallmark moments sometimes when I'm reading. Most beautiful book you bought this year. I have two, okay? One I've read and one I haven't read. So these are the two books that I think have the prettiest covers that I bought this year. This one here, The House in the Cerulean Sea, I haven't read yet, but I just love the cover. It's got this kind of, I don't know, Howl's Moving Castle kind of look to it. The French cover, and it just looks like such a pretty cover. And yeah, BookTube kept recommending this to me, so I'm like, okay, BookTube, I'm gonna read it. And then the other one is, this is the one I have read, The Book of Speculation by Erica Swiler. I love this book, y'all. This book was a fairy tale, fantasy, romance, contemporary fiction book all rolled into one. It's about this young man that's a librarian. He's descended from carnival workers, and all the women in his family have died really young from the carnival work that they do. And he discovers that their family is cursed, and he has to do everything he can to break that curse to save his sister. And it's just so good, and it is sad, it is heartbreaking, but you're rooting for him the whole way. And I just really love the main character in here. Like I said, he's just, you want him to break the curse, and he does everything he can. And the more he finds out about the curse that haunts his family, the more he realizes that his world isn't what he thought it was. And he finds out more about this curse because he receives a book from a bookseller that has the history of his family and the history of the time that they've worked in the carnival. So yeah, this is a really good book, and I recommend it. Like I said, it's like fairy tale-ish, dark fantasy, has a lot of mythos in it. It's just really good. I'm really not going to review books I don't like on here. I'm really not going to review books that I wouldn't recommend you read. If they are something that you think you would like, I would highly recommend you picking up any of the books that I've shown you. Some of the books do have quite the anti-following, the Gentleman Bastard series, but I still find them good. And maybe I'll find somebody else who thinks they're good too. All right. And I forgot to write down the last question. And what book do I need to read by the end of the year? I don't really need to read any books by the end of the year. There's nothing that if I roll over until next year I'm going to be upset about. I have 48 books on my to be read card that's over in the corner. Kind of stacked and stuff. But if I don't get through all of those by the end of the year, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be angry or anything. None of the books I have here are on a timeline that I have to get read, even the ones I'm doing for the readathons. I mean, if I don't get through them, what's going to happen? You know, I'm going to read the books, but there's really no consequences to me not reading. I really want to read The House in the Cerulean Sea soon. I want to read Jigsaw soon, The Jigsaw Man soon. So we'll just see. I mean, I'm going to read what I'm going to read. And wow, this is a long-ass video. I need to stop now. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Come back and we can talk some more about books and things. Sorry about that, guys. Bye.